Self-awareness is the key to freedom because on some level, you are absolutely creating your reality and the life that you're experiencing, the circumstances that you're in, the relationships that you have, the patterns and programs that you're carrying out in your day-to-day life, whether consciously or unconsciously. You are choosing and creating what you're experiencing in your life. And so that's why self-awareness is so important. You need to look inside yourself and find your core motivations and the programming that has led you to living in the way that you're living, believing the things that you're believing, taking the actions that you're taking, and behaving in the ways that you are behaving, which is ultimately creating your whole reality. So that's what we're talking about in this episode of the One Decision Away podcast. I appreciate you being here. I'm Elijah Mang, and let's get straight into it. So the biggest thing here is, like, so many of us grow up and just end up doing whatever we do without questioning whether it's something that we really want, that whether it's a desire that truly came from within us, or if it's something that we were told we should do, or something that we just believed was the right thing to do, or just a logical option to choose in going about our path. And so often we not only just fall into those paths without really being conscious of it, or consciously choosing because it's what we really want, but we just go along with it because it's what we feel like we should do. And then we end up 20 years down the line still doing that thing, and it may or may not be what we genuinely want. And so that's what we're going to talk about is, first, you got to get real with yourself. You have to recognize what currently is in your life, like any situation, all of it, whatever it might be, whatever's most important to you right now. It could be your relationships, it could be your patterns in relationships. You might be sabotaging your relationships or not truly getting and advocating for what you really want in your relationship. Or that could be for business, that could be at your job, that could be, you know, selling yourself short and not truly going for what you know you deserve and are worth. And seriously acknowledging the skills that you have, the value that you have to provide, and recognizing what you're worth. You might be settling for less than that. You might be settling for a position that's lower than what you really want, or what you really deep down know that you're capable of. And so getting real with yourself and recognizing, like, what currently is in your life is one of the most important steps. I mean, you can't start without just looking at what is right now. And so then you got to ask yourself, is this what I really want? And the answer to that should be easy. It should be easy, especially if this is a very relevant topic that's coming up for you. Maybe it's something you've been experiencing issues in your relationship, or you've been experiencing this discord within yourself when it comes to your job. Like, you don't feel like you're being treated fairly. You don't feel like you're getting the compensation that you deserve, or you don't feel like you're um, truly acting in the way that you know you're capable of acting in to get what you want. Like, you're selling yourself short. You're not advocating for your dream. You're not advocating for what you really want because you're playing it safe, right? So, I like, take note, do some journaling, whatever you got to do. Um, but like, what is it that currently is in your life, and is it what you really want? Is it something that you began doing or picked up because you felt like you should do it? Or is it something that you started because you genuinely wanted to, from just the desire, the pure desire within you, from the passion, curiosity, uh, whatever sparked that interest, the attraction to that specific thing, um, to the specific kind of relationship, to the specific kind of business or work that you're doing? What is it? Where did it come from? These are the things we have to address before we can move forward in really understanding our motivations, understanding where we're coming from, so that we can then create our life freely in the way that we want to, not just carrying out the same old patterns and programming, or the results of the patterns and programming. Okay, so the second thing, after you address what it is that you're experiencing, what you'd like to change, whatever it might be, wherever you're experiencing like resistance or discord in your life, and then asking yourself if that's really what you want. Secondly, you need to look at the contradictions in your mind that are creating this discord you're experiencing. Because Over here, you could want to do this thing. You want to do this thing. It's your passion. It's your calling, whatever it might be. You want to have this kind of relationship, but over here, you're experiencing this, and you have something tying you down to this. And so you need to clip whatever that is that's tying you down to settling for less than you actually want. It might be programming that you picked up from your parents when you were younger. It's probably also a limiting belief that you're carrying, maybe about your worthiness. You don't believe you're worthy of experiencing the kind of relationship that you actually want, or you don't believe you're worthy of getting the position, the job, or starting the business and creating a successful business in the way that you actually want to, right? So identify what is that thread that's holding you to the circumstances you don't want, because the truth is you're free in this life and you have free will and you have the ability to create whatever it is that you want, but it's just your programming. It's just these underlying motivations that are tying you to what you don't want. So for example, it could be like, I really want to start a business online so that I can, like, whether it's creating content and doing something like this, or providing services, whatever it might be, you really want to start a business online so that you can take back your time and also make enough money to do what you want with the extra time that you have. And you can operate your business from anywhere in the world. You can travel as much as you want. You can go to all these different places and still work while really fully enjoying your life and experiencing all these different things in different locations, different places, doing the things that you've only dreamed of previously. Like, it can be a reality for you, but maybe you have this underlying belief, like, I should do something that's more secure. I should stay at my job because it's the responsible thing to do. I should stay in this location because it's where my family is, or it's where I grew up and it's all I know. All of these different things. It could be anything. Search for yourself. You know better than I do what is going on in your mind, the beliefs that you have, the secret hidden fears that maybe you've been afraid to actually acknowledge those fears because it might shake things up in your life. So acknowledge what are the underlying fears behind that doubt, that that unbelief of your capability to do what you actually want. That's where the discord is. That's where that thread is that you need to cut to free yourself from the programming. You need to identify what it is that you are, where you're at, what you really want, and what's keeping you from that. So another way that might be showing up for you is you want to do one thing, but those shoulds, the I'm supposed to, or if I do that, then XYZ will happen. And those are the things that you need to question, because those may not be things that you've chosen in the first place, although you do choose to keep them. And so once you become aware of them, that's when you really have the choice, because until now, you've just been operating on autopilot, letting those shoulds, or I'm supposed to do this, or, I should live in this way, take precedence over what you truly want to do. And that could just be things that you heard from your parents growing up. It's very simple. You just need to identify those things and have the will and the desire to actually reclaim your life. If these things are contributing to a situation that you don't enjoy, you don't want to be in, it's not how you want to live, then you need to identify the contradictions in your mind and those underlying motivations for the things that you do, for the ways that you behave, for the reason that you are still in a relationship that's not good for you, or something, whatever it might be. Or you're still behaving in ways that are sabotaging the actual love and joy and connection that you want to experience in the relationship that you do have. Sometimes it doesn't require a new relationship. It just requires a change in the way that you're approaching it. And by identifying those underlying motivations, you can completely change everything. Because here's the thing, this is the third thing about it, is that it's not always about the way that things are, but it's about where you are coming from. So to give you an example and kind of a full picture of this whole process, you might realize that through investigation, that You got into business, the specific kind of business that you're in because you wanted to make a lot of money, for example. And maybe you're at a point where like that's satisfied and it doesn't drive you as much anymore. You're not as passionate about continuing on in that way. And so you need to investigate the context of it a little bit because you want to continue to do your business, but the thing up until now that was primarily driving that was the desire to make a lot of money. And now you may have realized that you still want the same thing, but it's not as valuable or meaningful to you in that same context. And so if you investigate the content part is the business. It's what you're doing. The context is why you're doing what you're doing. It's where it's coming from. So like I said, it's not always important what you're doing, but where you're coming from. Like what what space are you coming from in doing what you're doing, in building your business, in serving your clients and serving your customers? Maybe you're even at a point where you feel like, I don't even want to continue doing this. It doesn't have the same spark for me anymore, but I should continue doing it. That's because you're keeping the same content and the same context. But if you keep the same content and change the context, you can still have it, but it can be much more fulfilling. And it even when you change the context, it might change the content of it as well. Because if you give something a new meaning, then it may open up new ways of impacting the people that you're serving, the customers and clients that you're providing whatever services or products for, and it can give it a whole new meaning. And so, kind of to relate this back to the previous scenario, you might realize that you have lived in a way that was purely based off of what you felt like you should be doing because it's secure, or because it's predictable, or because you were told that you should do it. And through further investigation, you realize this isn't really what I truly deeply wanted, but it's what I felt like I should be doing. And so I continued to do it. But now you might investigate that and realize, I do actually want to continue doing this, but just through realizing where it was driven from, realizing that you've been doing it because you felt like you should, not because you genuinely wanted to, then you might want to just give it a new context. If it still serves you, then give it a new context and meaning for yourself. Give it a new motivation, essentially. By giving it a new meaning, it can become way more fulfilling. It can become way more fruitful. It can produce so much more for you, and it can produce a lot of joy as well. It can give you a feeling of contentment and peace because now you know that you are on track, you are doing what you want to do, but you're still doing it from a place that doesn't feel the best. It's not fully serving you. And so what serves you better is the question. In creating a new context, what serves you better? So back to that other example, you might realize that now you want to continue operating your business, but you kind of want to change the motivation, the values behind it a little bit. And so what will serve you better? Focusing on creating a lot of money for yourself so that you can create that freedom was the old way. What might be the new way? Creating more impact for other people, creating more opportunities for other people, showing other people how you've done it and how you've been able to succeed in that way, because then you can impact other people more deeply, and that can be way more fulfilling for you. And so where are you coming from in doing this? Because if you're coming from that aspect of service, of wanting to impact people, help other people, help expand opportunities for other people, that is coming from love. That's coming from a place of wanting to give. But if you're still operating from, I need to make more money, it's not as aligned as it used to be for you, then it's coming from a place of fear. And so that's the differentiation there. It could it's fear or love, and there could be many extensions of those two things, like a tree. Like these are the roots, and then these are the branches. There could be many extensions, but it's either coming from fear or love. Which roots are you grounded in your activities, in your relationship, in your business, in your daily habits and behaviors? Where are you coming from? And so using this whole process of investigation, diving deeper, uncovering those core motivations, you can actually change everything without changing anything if that's what resonates with you. If you totally want the relationship that you're in, but you need a new core like motivation for it to actually reignite your passion and your spark, whatever it may be, then do that investigation and find what serves you better. Find what is more meaningful to you and give that situation that new context. Give it the new motivation, give it the new meaning that it now has for you. And this can be so transformational. And along with this is so often you might realize that you've always wanted to do a certain thing, or maybe you've just had the idea. You want to do a certain thing, but you feel like you're not supposed to. You feel like it's not good. You feel like it's unacceptable, or it's going to be looked at weirdly or wrongly or judged or whatever. Another aspect to this is just accepting your desires, because they're so often like demonized or perceived in a negative way. But desires are not bad. Desires are actually natural. Desires are necessary, because desire is what contributes to the expansion of yourself and to the expansion of your life and to the expansion of the entire universe. It's desire. It's this driving force that creates new things. So this brings me to a quote that I want to share from Albert Einstein, because it totally connects with this message. And that is that imagination is more important than knowledge. For knowledge is limited to all we now know and understand, while imagination embraces the entire world and all that there ever will be to know and understand. And so if you are caught up in this idea that you need to go with what you've been doing because it feels familiar, or what you truly want feels unreasonable, outlandish, maybe crazy, different than what's normal, then you're limiting yourself to all that we currently know and understand, instead of realizing that that desire could have a seed within it of expansion, of something new, of new possibility that not only you get to experience, but if you own your desire and actually follow it and pursue it, then other people might get to experience that as well. It might lead to a complete paradigm shift, not only within yourself, but within so many other people, because you followed your imagination and your desire instead of following what was familiar, or what you felt like you should do or be, or how you should act, right? So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up with that. I want to talk more about the desire. I will do that in another episode, and we'll just dive into how to stop suppressing your desires and everything like that. So I appreciate you being here. Thank you for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe. I seriously appreciate it. And if you're on Spotify, a rating and review would be greatly appreciated, because that helps the show grow. So thank you for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.